Thursday Thoughts on SDH AM. I know I forgot to put my clock up. All right, so Thursday Thoughts on SDH AM. It's a no dilly, no dally zone. John here, you there. We know it was a late night for a lot of you when you were looking at what was going on in Major League Soccer. We're going to go over all of that. We're going to go over Atlanta United in depth in the second half hour after they got the win in Minnesota last night. So you're going to hear your goals. You're going to get post-match from Tristan Muyumba. That and some of Major League Soccer, especially the shenanigans, we'll call it that, from what happened last night in Chester, Pennsylvania between Messi and friends and Philadelphia. We'll get into that in the second half hour. Hour number 2 is the Power Hour with Nino and Niko. Nino Torres wants to tour the planet. We'll go South America and Portugal and all points in between with him. And then at 10:30, last half hour of the show before we go into added time, it's going to be Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. Seattle's hurting bad. So we're going to catch up with Niko and find out what's going on in the Western Frontier. That's going to be starting around 10:30. We've got an update on Breel and Bolo. We have some word from the French press. We'll get into that once again coming up in just a little bit. And there's a little game that's going on at Sanford Stadium tonight in front of an anticipated crowd of 9 bazillion people. All of the tickets are still available. So look, they want 9 bazillion people in the building, and you need to be there because it's a history-making event. So in the interest of equal time, which is what we like to do, talked to Kadani McAlpine earlier this week. So that means that we go to parts unknown, where he has sequestered himself to get ready for this game. Josh Walters, the head coach at James Madison. Go Dukes. Welcome to this morning show.
Go Dukes.
When you got the phone call to do soccer in Sanford, you've done stuff with Kadani before in the Pacific time zone, in the Western Frontier, USC, UCLA, all that kind of stuff. This was a no-brainer, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We had the match scheduled ahead of time, and he floated the idea and was like, I don't know if I can get permission or not. Would you be up for it? And it wasn't even a pause in the conversation. I was like, yep, we're there. Like, let's do it.
So what has the build been like since it's early in your 26th season? And I guess how do you keep your roster from looking up into the stands and getting a little north-south, neck muscle cramps and things like that? How do you prevent this and try to get them to work on the task at hand? Or do you embrace the moment and have them understand, there's going to be 9 bazillion people here, just enjoy it? Yeah,
from experience, you embrace the moment. It's a kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's something that they'll definitely think about. They'll talk about later. It'll be something they remember, regardless of what happens in the match. That it's going to be a special moment for them. So we say embrace it. We're saying look up, enjoy, play.
Hey, let's talk about play. 25 season, life in the Fun Belt. We know that it can go sideways, and it usually does on any given match day. 9-4-6. You lose in PKs in the opening round of the conference tournament. When you look back at 25, what were the lessons that you learned from 25 that you brought forward to 26?
Yeah, sometimes I hate this game. So we if you go back to 24, we went on a great run and won the double. We won the regular season league and then the tournament. In that tournament, we actually won in penalties against ULM. In a game where we missed the first 2 penalties, and then somehow miraculously came back and scored it and went on to win, but no one talks about that. And then the next year we get in the conference tournament against Texas State, who we had played the week prior, and we actually created more XG in that game than any game I've coached at JMU. So we were almost 4 XG in that game, really close to it, and we scored 1. In that moment, if we play that game 10 times, I would like to think we win 8 of those or so. But on that day, Texas State got 1 and took it to pins and won in penalties. So that season could have had a different ending. Texas State went on and won the conference tournament, and we were nearly there. So in my mind, it wasn't that it wasn't a success, but that maybe we ran out of time a little bit.
1-1 coming into this one, and it's matches that you've had back home in Harrisonburg. It was a 3-1 loss to NC State and a 2-1 win against George Mason. What have you learned about yourself so far in those two?
Yeah, we got it handed to us a little bit in the NC State game, where their tactics and their hunger in the game was greater than ours. And the kids responded so well for the George Mason game in the next game, and we fixed a few things along the way. But credit NC State, they were fantastic. Gary's done such a good job there. We've never played against a goalkeeper that was 45 yards out of goal between the two center backs. And our kids were looking at me like, hey, what do we do? And I was like, I haven't prepared you for that yet. No one's done that. So it became another thing we put into the tool belt for the next time this happens. Here's what you do.
And you end up with this matchup here. What has study hall been like getting ready for this one? I imagine there might have been a subscription to B1G Plus and trying to figure out what Johnny's been doing so far this year. What's study hall been like getting ready for him?
Yeah, I went to the track coach and said, hey, can we borrow your track shoes? We think we need to be able to run a little bit. And they're so athletic and so tall as part of it. And Kadani always is a coach who is trying to maximize what his players can do, both in shape and tactics and ability. And I see that year after year. He did it with his USC teams. He's doing it with his Georgia teams here. So they're a lot to take on. If you try to just sit on them, they're athletic enough that they'll get you. If you try to completely press them, they might run by you. So you have to pick your times and you have to manage the game. And we're going to go after it with courage for sure.
I was going to ask because, when you have the two approaches or the two ideas of trying to figure out, okay, so I know he does this and I know he does this, and you got to try and pick your spots. How delicate is that on the road in an environment that you anticipate is going to be what it is? How delicate a task is that going to be?
Yeah, I kind of expect the first 10 minutes of the game to be chaotic in that environment, nerves and all those things. So my hope is that kind of survive the first 10 minutes in terms of not making those kind of mistakes and just go after it, and then settle the game down and try to play it the way we want to. So for approaching them, they typically play a 3-back. So, how do you manage that? They tend to have 3 up top, so, you're going to leave yourself even or +1 if I play a 3-back. So a lot of decisions in there and the way to handle it. And so we've kind of created a plan A and a plan B. We always do this, so we have the ability to, with one word from the sideline, change the shape or change the idea of both our press, our mid block, both the build also. And actually stole that from Jesse Marsh when he was at Red Bull. I got a chance to go hang out with him, and they would have a press and an alternate press. They would have a build and an alternate build. And so we just prepare our team that way so that we can transition hopefully quickly into something if we need to.
So you mentioned that it could be a word that could be the trigger. If you've got 9 bazillion people in the stands, I would imagine communication is going to be a little difficult at times, especially in that first 10 minutes that you're talking about. How do you turn it into the game of telephone where they hear what you're saying instead of hearing something and then telephone and they tell something and it's not the right word? How do you worry about communication in an environment that you anticipate is going to be what it is?
Yeah, the KISS method. What I learned in the Army, just keep it simple, stupid. So if we're going to change something, we just, especially in the press or whatever, we'll change to number 2. So just hold up the 2 and then they can go. Hopefully Kadani doesn't think that means fight on like the good old days. But.
Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. You mentioned your time in the Army, and first and foremost, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
When it came to your time there, how did that help you as the coach that you are now? How did those early days there serving our nation help you with being the coach that you are? And I'm not just talking necessarily X's and O's, but personality and carriage and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think I'm different in terms of I kind of frame things different. I don't think of soccer as the end of everything. It's just part of your journey of who you are. So with the players, I often am framing the bigger picture, because I've seen a bigger picture. I've been part of a bigger picture with those kind of things. So, what lesson are we learning from this? How does this help us? Win, loss, tie, whatever. Then I would say I'm very, very organized. Our entire season is planned out, from how we have our periodization to when training sessions are going to be, so that everybody can live their lives just the same way it was in the Army. And I often believe and was taught this, that if you make a plan and something changes, it's really easy for people to adjust because you had a plan and they understood what was going on. When you live in chaos sometimes and then you try to change something, it just creates more chaos. So we believe in that a lot, in trying to create a plan. I also know from my time in the military that you need a lot of people. It's not a singular leader. So I hire very good people, and then I empower them to do a job for us, for the benefit of the team or for whatever their skill set is, across the board. And it's kind of shown. I've had a lot of coaches at JMU who've gone on to bigger platforms. I have 2 coaches who are in the NWSL now. There are 3 Division I head coaches in the 8 years at JMU, and 1 men's NAI head coach. So I think what we're doing and how we're preparing coaches and players is definitely fruitful here.
What's it like having that kind of a coaching tree start for you?
It's wild. I never imagined in such a short period of time. I told my AD when the first one started leaving or whatever at the time, I was like, we need to pay more money. I need them to stay, but it's been really cool helping them on their journey and being part of it, and watching them go on to be successful. All of them have been successful in some way, shape, or form, and how they're doing the programs. And sometimes they do similar things to the way we do, and sometimes they follow their own path, but it's been really cool. Every one of them has texted me about this game, so I still feel that kinship from them.
Well, you mentioned the growth of the game and your coaching tree. What has it been like for you to be able to grow the game worldwide, basically? Because of your time in Afghanistan, you were fortunate enough to help grow the game there and have the game exposed to folks that may not necessarily have had the means or the opportunity to do it there. So you got to do it while you were serving in Afghanistan. And then here domestically in the college game, where you've had the big games against Kadani, USC, UCLA, whether it's at the Mausoleum or if it's in Carson, and now you're getting the chance to grow it on the East Coast. What's it been like for you as all of these different places you've been able to touch and see where the game has gone from your interactions with it?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it's probably influenced me more than I've influenced anybody else, being able to take different things. So I never imagined going to Afghanistan would be the reason why I became a college coach. Like, that's such an untraditional path. Use soccer on a one-off thing. And there's a Marine that was out there with us who brought the idea to me and was like, hey, we should go in this village and help these kids with soccer. So we demined an area, and it paid off. Like, the kids eventually told us where some weapons were. And after that, like, they would let me do anything soccer I wanted. And because of that, I sent an email to a couple coaching friends asking for some soccer applies. And Anson at Carolina actually sent it to someone in the United Soccer Coaches, the NSCA at the time, and they took the email and wrote an article about it. And that's the reason why I became a college coach. I was a club and a high school coach, and Anson helped me get my first interview. I sat on a bunker in Tarin Kowt, Afghanistan, on a satellite phone at 2:00 in the morning and interviewed. And then whenever I was done and came back after a year, I drove straight to Houston and was at the University of Houston at the beginning. So wild that all of that stuff happened that way. I never would have written it out or planned it. And then from Houston, I just kept getting calls from people saying, hey, would you consider this job? What do you think? I've actually never applied for one of these jobs. It's crazy. They've all been things where people have reached out and said, would you consider this? To be honest, everything that I have applied for, I've never gotten. So this pathway, my family, how we've grown, where we've gone has been really cool, and I've gotten to almost get I would say a master's degree in coaching, because I've been some really cool places with some of the best coaches in America. And I've learned so much, and JMU is a place where I got to put all those things together and make my idea.
What's it like doing a job interview on a sat phone at 2:00 half a world away?
Yeah, it's a little crazy. Everything was quiet there, and there's not much light in Afghanistan because there's not a great power grid, or at the time there wasn't. So it was really quiet. So it was one of the moments where you get to focus and you can see every star in the sky because there's no very, very little light pollution. So it was a bit surreal.
And you've gone from there back here, Tallahassee Godby, if I remember correctly, as a part of your.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've done it. youth in Afghanistan, high school in Florida, college across the board, and you've grown to now where you're building a program in the Fun Belt.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't prescribe it as a pathway for most people, but I think the idea is to, when the door's open, be ready and willing to walk through it.
And never do a job interview ever.
Yeah, I've been blessed that the soccer world is really small and we're really connected. So people have helped me a lot.
When people dial you up for advice, because I imagine Anson's on your speed dial. Like if you've got a question, you sit there and you go dit dit dit, and people pick up the phone, right?
Yeah.
If you've got a so when someone calls you and they have a question, what's it like to have somebody that you may or may not know? It might be Kevin Bacon separation, 6 or 7 different, versions of separate. It's like, well, hey, I know so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, and they said to give you a call. What's it like to have someone like that give you a call out of the blue just to ask you for advice now?
Yeah, I love paying it forward. If anybody calls me, I'll take the call. I'll try to help as much as I can for the time allowed or whatever. But yeah, you can't always answer every question or you can't have an actionable thing for them, but love helping people. And a lot of times people call and it's about like how to get into college coaching. What does that look like? And most of the time that is like, go work for anybody for free you can. It's a thing that happens at JMU for us. We often have people come in and work for free and then they end up in, full-time jobs later. And it's just the pathway of things. But then there's also the coaching piece. And probably the place I've grown the most in my life is being at JMU and having to be the decision maker. And I thought I was a brilliant coach at the beginning. I thought I'm going to come in and teach these JMU kids how to play soccer. I just come from UCLA. And I realized how much I didn't know. So then I had to go seek advice. So I tell them the same thing, like seek advice, seek yours, be connect other coaches as much as you can. And then once you get your coaching opportunity, have clarity, like have a really good idea about what you want to do in whatever silo or area that you're working in and have clarity. It doesn't matter how you see the game. Like there's not a right way or a wrong way to play the game, but people in general need clarity. They need to understand this is where we're going. This is what it should look like in the end. And let's decide how we make that happen.
Monopolizing Josh Walters on a match day before he heads over to Sanford Stadium to take on the University of Georgia, head coach at JMU. When it comes to recruiting student athletes, yes, we believe in hydration. We do have hydration breaks during the show. So when it comes to recruiting student athletes to Harrisonburg, Virginia, you look at your roster and it's not just all Virginia. There's some Europe that's attached. There's some, it is not just this side of the Atlantic that you're getting into. And we were joking before you came on the air that Almaty is not a county seat in any of the counties in the state of Virginia. I mean, that's Kazakhstan, and we know of them from the Champions League. When it comes to recruiting, how do you recruit to Harrisonburg, Virginia?
Yeah, I think first I'll start with like choosing JMU for myself before I get into like how other people choose it. So one of the things leaving UCLA that was important to me is I wanted to be a place where the state that I was recruiting in was soccer rich. Like there was going to be talent there. I wanted to be at a school where they could afford to have a soccer program and they invested in it. Something that you could actually like sell to. Good academics, especially on the women's side, is really important. So JMU became a perfect fit for these things for me. So like in attracting players from other places, everybody has a niche. When I was at Utah State, Heather Cairns, who was the head coach there, she had a niche on recruiting the ODP players. She worked in ODP and she was able to really get to understand and know the players. And we did really well with those. She did a tremendous job at Utah State. You can see the job Manny Martins is doing there now, on the flip side of that. But so for JMU in particular, we started looking at, well, what is our roster makeup going to look like? How do we get the players that we want in? And we knew we needed to recruit Virginia. So about a third of our roster typically comes from Virginia. And then the region is pretty good. You start looking at North Carolina, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, lots of really good soccer in all those places. And a lot of those kids from above us up north want to come down. So we focused on that area. And then I've always had a penchant for international recruiting. So in particular, Amina, who you're talking about, another idea, David Oakes, who's an assistant for us, started as a manager. Once he graduated, went off to Coastal Carolina, and I was able to steal him back to JMU when we had a position open. Well, David is really good. He spends so much time scouring the internet, working on Y Scout, trying to find players. He's the one that did all the research on Amina. She was part of a recruiting company. So a third of our roster is typically international. So it's a blend for us of things. And we will look anywhere in the world. And poor David has traveled to Bulgaria and like all these random places to go look at players. But it becomes this great blend of, different ideas from different backgrounds with different upbringings that makes our team great. And I love that. We're not any one thing.
And we can't wait to see it tonight over at Sanford Stadium. Soccer in Sanford. It is UGA. It is JMU. Josh, I can't, especially on a match day. What are you going to do the rest of the match day? You going to get a nap in or go get breakfast or what?
No, we go into scout here probably about 30 minutes or so, and it's just preparation on the day. So for the girls' routine involves lots of eating and a couple walks around, and they have to have coffee somewhere in there. So the day gets, as you can imagine, in the military, the day gets pretty planned out for the things they need to do.
And we can't wait to see you. We'll be up there, obviously, later this afternoon. We're going to have our pregame show from the press box as well. But
Awesome.
Thanks for doing this, especially on a match day. We can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see what's going to go on there at Sanford Stadium. Thanks for being a part of the morning show and batting leadoff. You are our Ricky Henderson.
John, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
All right, there he goes. Josh Walters, head coach at James Madison. They're getting ready for their time at Sanford Stadium. And it was really cool to catch up with Josh on a couple of different. And my problem is that I had a set list of questions, and then we open a door, and it was the door about his time in the military, and you go down there, and I'm sitting there, and it's like, okay, my other questions, A, B, C, D, and E questions, they just kind of ended up going all the way to the back, and I know that I've probably set us up here at SDH to have a sit down with him that is a lot longer than what we did this morning. So, yes, I have opened up yet another door of trouble for us here at SDH. I can't thank Josh enough for doing that, and we'll catch up with Josh when we get up to Sanford Stadium here this afternoon. So that is the other half of the equation. So here's the deal. Pregame show for us at 6 o'clock from Sanford Stadium, and Maddie and I will be there. You're going to hear bits of this interview with Josh. You're going to hear bits of the interview from Marion Crowder, and you're going to hear bits of the interview from Kadani McAlpine. We'll get you ready with starting lineups, all the things, and get you ready for this matchup. I have heard, and I think it was Marion who said it yesterday, that they've already got north of 30,000 tickets distributed. So record set, boom. All right, good start. We need 9 bazillion people in there for soccer in Sanford. So right now, that number I've heard is north of 30,000. If you're anywhere near there, go. It's going to be a great representation of the growth of the sport, especially here in the Southeast. So it's going to be 7 o'clock kick. Glenn Davis, Jill Lloyden, and Marion Crowder on SEC Network. We're going to go from about 6 until about 6:50 when the pomp, circumstance, trumpets, and serpentina all start in Athens. So we're going to go 6 to 6:50 here on the network. And then we're going to hand it off to our friends at the SEC Network. It's going to be great to see everybody up there in Athens. And if you're anywhere close, go. It's going to be a great night for the growth of the sport here. Celebrating the 30th anniversary of the activity that was going on during the Five-Ring Circus, and also celebrating what's going on there tonight. So that is, once again, Josh Walters, head coach at James Madison. Morning, David. Morning, Abby. And we're off and running. Okay, the Brielle and Bolo update. I guess technically this would be, Josh was opening kickoff, but I'll go ahead, and since this is a shorter timed item. Opening kickoff brought to us by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com from the Kaiser Permanente Studios, because why? It says so right there and wrapped around me. Once again, Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, starting off with the most important stories in the game, the right way to start your morning. It is showing up at events all over Atlanta. Home blend made with beans from Brazil, Guatemala, heavy body, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. As of apparently 4:34 this morning, and this comes from one of the local beat writers for Stade Rennais, Guillaume Lainé. And this is translated. So here's the latest when it comes to Breel Mbolo. Atlanta United is still working to finalize with Breel Mbolo the arrival of the Swiss striker to the United States. The trend remains toward a conclusion. The two clubs are already in agreement on a transfer of 17 million euro plus one in bonuses. So that is the word right now, and that was his last. So it was 4 hours ago. So 4 hours ago, our time, 4:34 in the Blanken morning, Guillaume Lainé, who is a local beat writer for Stade Rennais in Ligue 1, it's trending, remaining toward a conclusion. They've agreed on the transfer, 17 million euro plus 1 million in bonuses, and so they're getting it closer to the finish line. So if you were there listening to the interview with Dimitrios Evstathiou in the pregame show and from Minneapolis last night, go back and listen to it, with him and Jason, and that they were still looking for folks because the window's still open and they're still chasing, and they were optimistic about the individuals that they have in their spot shadow getting ready for additions for Atlanta United. So still optimistic, trending toward a conclusion with Breel Mbolo coming in at 17 plus 1. Money has been agreed to. So my guess is now you're looking at what it's going to be when it comes to the personal services on the contract and what's going to be directly deposited into an account every 2 weeks. So I think that's probably where we are when it comes to Breel Mbolo. But once again, trending toward a conclusion. That's from the beat writer at Stade Rennais in Ligue 1. So that's where we are with Breel Mbolo. So in combination, Josh Walters and your Breel Mbolo update. That is opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game. The right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil, Guatemala, heavy body, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. All right, last night, it was a late night, and it was an opportunity for Atlanta United to try and pair up wins. Took them a while, but they did exactly that. So let's roll you through the highlights and some of the post-match comments from Tristan Muyumba. Early on, it was really even and really back and forth. And so you had a couple of chances early on, and then you get to the 37th minute. Pressure continues from Atlanta United. Goal on the board, courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Here's Mike and Jason.
Saw the short corner, little combination for the match winner against Red Bull.
Moreno will take this out of the far corner, goal to our right. Ronchuk is closest to him outside the left corner of the 18, marked by Pereira.
And Pereira's in distance, but you can still play around that if you want.
Marone going long to the penalty spot, headed away, but out to Muyumba, top of the arc, ahead to Bias, back to Muyumba. He winds up and shoots, his block to Jacob on the right side. Shot! Score! Tomas Jacob as Atlanta United creates something off a recycled corner, and they've got the early lead on the road here in Minnesota.
What a hit from Tomas Jacob. Tristan Muyumba was loading up with the right foot that has been so good as of late. It blocks out to Jacob. He brings it down perfectly and then hits it off the half volley as sweet as you possibly can.
I'll agree. As sweet as you possibly can. And it ends up 1-0 at that point for Atlanta United on the lead on the road. And this was one of the things that really kind of just stuck with us when it came to Minnesota United. Morning Local. 2-2-5 going into this match at home at Allianz for the Loons so far this season. It's really strange. So 2-2-5, they're down a goal. That was the score at the break. Then then Anthony Marcanic scores. And in the 58th, he was the last to get to the far post off of a header and a couple of smashes off of crossbars in a sequence. And so he gets there before Fafapico does, or he gets ahead of Fafapico, last to touch it goes in. We're tied at 1. Then you get to about 12 minutes to go, 77, 78th minute. And mama, there goes that man again. I think it's probably the best way that I can describe it. So it goes from 1-1 to 2-1. Once again, Mike and Jason, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app.
Alzate under this time. Here's a dying back pass that goes right in the row. What a tackle by Jang. It was a very poor back pass by Alzate. Put Jang in on the keeper, and Hoyos came off his line 18 yards to kick it away from him. What a read.
Composure again from Lucas Ojos.
And here's a fortunate bounce for Atlanta. Yakov's going to run onto it in the far attacking corner and put a cross in to Moranchuk. Left off now to Moyamba. Dribbles, shoots, score! Golazo! And back to back to back matches for Tristan Moyamba. He finds the top bin again, and Atlanta United out of nowhere finds the go-ahead goal.
He won't be on the score sheet for that one, but Lucas Ojos, this guy, for whatever reason, has been talked about so unfairly all season long. He just saved the game for Atlanta United.
It's a 2-goal swing.
Yeah.
In that play.
It's a bad back pass. Ojos holds his ground, makes the tackle. It breaks forward. It's, of course, Tomas Jakob leading the break. And Moranchuk draws the defenders. Muyamba beats the defender on the dribble, Diaz, and then puts it into the near side over Calendar. It's a great finish from Muyamba with his left foot into the roof.
Left foot. Right foot, left foot. Back to back to back. So the goal from Tristan Muyamba in the 78th holds. 2-1 your final. Atlanta United back-to-back wins for the first time since April. And that is where we are with Sporting Kansas City heading to town this weekend, Sunday Night Soccer. And then after that, it's a quick turn, but it is the following Saturday when the Minty Fresh folks up I-85 come to town. So there's some manageable activity here. Team that is last in the West comes to your place Sunday night. Then you end up with Charlotte coming to town the following weekend. Intrigue, but you've pieced it together twice in a row. Here is a little bit of the conversation that was had with Jason and Tristan Muyamba after the match, courtesy of Atlanta United, their own selves.
What are these last couple of results after the disappointment of Philadelphia? What do these last couple of results say about the character of this team?
It means a lot. It means we care about the situation we are, and I think no one wants to stay in this position, and we just want to improve. We want to show we are better than that, and yeah, today we show a lot of character, because it's never easy to come here and to get the 3 points, and yeah, a lot of character. So I'm really proud of the effort we did tonight, and everyone. Yeah.
It was a fight. It had a lot of chaos in the match. The winning goal sequence for you, it starts with a play from Lucas making a tackle and then ends up with you putting it home. Yeah. Walk me through like how you saw that whole play develop, starting with Lucas.
It was like some slappy or some little mistake, and fortunately Lucas did a great job, and then after that we just went to the attacks, to the last third, and I've seen Thomas cross for Alexi, and I know how smart Alexi is, so he passed me a good ball, and I was in the perfect position, and I wanted to shoot first touch, but the defender closed the door, and so I just had this movement and shoot, and I'm happy because of the goal and most of all the 3 points. Yeah.
In that sequence, I feel like you're moving before Alexi even settles in, knowing what he's going to be looking for in that moment, right?
Yeah. I was, when you play with player with this quality, you have to trust them, and know they, no matter what, no matter where you are, they can find you and find a way to pass you the ball. So I was pretty confident about it. So, and yeah, I don't need to describe Alexi talent and how important is he for the team. But yeah, it was a great effort from the whole team. Even the guy who come into the end of the game, they did a really good job. They fight. So yeah, proud of the team.
Proud of the team. That's just part of the conversation that was with Alexi. You can go to the Atlanta United YouTube channel and catch the rest of the interview with both him and with Tata Martino. And Atlanta United comes out of it with full points. And so the other element in this that Abe and I were getting into last night, they're only 6 points out of the play-in game right now. That's 2 wins. You get a good week, then you go from where you are right now, trying to get out of the basement in the Eastern Conference. 2 wins in a good week, you could, obviously if everybody else does nothing, but you have a good week, you can climb the table and get closer and closer to the play-in. So that's where you are right now with Atlanta United. Sporting Kansas City once again coming to town this weekend, Sunday Night Soccer on Apple and all of the places where you get to hear the soccering and you get to watch the soccering. And so Sporting Kansas City comes here, Charlotte comes here. You've won 2 in a row. What do you do continuing for an encore? Sporting will get 2 of their players back that were in the Colorado Red Cards, sat out last night in the matchup against St. Louis City SC, sorry. And they'll be back on Sunday night. So we'll see what Rafa Vicky's lineup looks like with the suspensions the red card suspensions having taken their effect. And we'll see what it looks like coming up on the weekend. So just taking a peek at some of the numbers when it comes to the players themselves. Lucas Ojos, courtesy of our friends at FOTMob, punched a 7.8. 3 saves. I would have sworn it was more. 3 saves officially. 20 of 35 passing for a keeper. 20 of 35, 57%. 11 of 26 on long ball accuracy. 11 of 26 long balls. You take those out. His ground game was 9 for 9. Long balls, 11 of 26. So that's what you had with Lucas Ojos. 3 saves inside the box. 1 he acts as a sweeper. 3 throws, 8 recoveries, a clearance, 44 touches, and he won a ground duel. So you got that from Lucas Ojos last night. It was a bit of a really multiple choice test to figure out, okay, who gets to be man of the match. But we figured, especially, and that's why I wanted to play that highlight long, that resulted in the eventual game-winning goal, just because of what started that play. Steven Alzate comes in. Obviously, you're unsure with the surface. Didn't have a whole lot of weight behind it. Lucas Ojos has to come out, claim it quickly, distribute it even faster. Jacob Miranchuk, Muyumba, goal, left foot, 2-1 near post, beating Drake Callender to the short side with the left foot. You get the second goal on the board. Tomas Jacob, by the way, like I said, it was a match race among Muyumba, Jacob, and Lucas Ojos for our man of the match. We were getting into some quality arguments. Tomas Jacob, 58 touches. Obviously, he had the 1 goal on the board early. 29 of 37 passing at 78%. 1 for 1 in shooting. 6 defensive contributions on 58 touches. A successful dribble. 5 passes into the final third. 1 cross, 1 long ball. We mentioned the defensive contributions at 6. Tackle, 4 clears, 2 of them headed, an interception, 5 recoveries, a dribble pass, and 6 of 10 on his duels. That was Tomas Jakob. The backline starters, Jakob, Stian Gregerson, Alonso, and Elias Baez, totaled for about 35 defensive actions last night with those 4. Then you get your cup of coffee and the first appearance for Paulo Diaz, who was in for like 6 minutes plus the 4 that were added, 4 minutes. Hey, fine. You want to go 4? That's great. In those 6 minutes, he's credited with 5 defensive actions. So that's what you're getting. Yes, you got the cup of coffee, but when you brought in all of your center backs to make sure it was like a line of 12 to shore up and make sure that there was not going to be an equalizing goal when you had the lead 2-1. Because Steven Alzate, Luke Brennan come in with about 25 to go. Matt Edwards comes in with 11 to go. Mihai and Paulo Diaz come in as a part of a double switch with 5 to go. So literally, Matt was in, Mihai was in, Diaz was in, and that was what you were looking at with that group. You had everybody who could play center back was playing center back. I will be intrigued to see what the lineup looks like against Sporting on Sunday, because Baez, Alonso, Gregerson, Jakob all played 90 minutes. Adrian Gill backed up 90 with 85. Alexei Miranchuk backed up 90 with 79 before he was taken out. Cooper Sanchez, because of all of the work that he has logged recently with the U20s in Mexico and Atlanta United, after 64 minutes, he was removed. Tristan Muyumba played 85. Fafa Pico, 64. And then Miggy also played a full 90. So I'm intrigued to see what it looks like on Sunday night. So we'll take a peek there when it comes to Atlanta United and what it's going to look like lineup-wise. So stats, and once again, obviously kind of misleading. It's interesting that knowing that Minnesota United doesn't like to have possession. Cam Knowles' teams average about 46% possession this season in Major League Soccer. Because they were trying to chase after game winners and what have you, they had more possession. They had 53% of the possession last night compared to 47 for Atlanta United. Once again, if you got a team that doesn't do well with the ball at their feet, don't like to possess it, give it to them. Force them to work through it. You see the end result. XG, obviously, 2 to 0.93. Total shots, 13-10. All this is Minnesota. 4-3 on target. Touches inside the opponent's 18, 23-14. 6 big chances to 2, and they missed 5 of them. Passing numbers about the same, 79 to 78%, because there was a lot of back and forth. And it did have its own batch of chaos. 7 yellow cards, 4 to Minnesota United, 3 for Atlanta United in that one. 10 corners, 6 to Minnesota United. Total shots, once again, 13-10. Off target, 9-4. 4-3 on target. 3 blocked shots of Atlanta United's. 2 hit the woodwork for Minnesota United. Shots inside the 18, 11-6. Defensively, all Atlanta United, with the exception of blocks. Atlanta United, 13-12 in tackles, 19-5 in interceptions, 28-6 in clearances, 3 saves to Lucas Ojos, which I would swear was more, and 1 save for Drake Callender in the matchup last night at Allianz. I debated thinking if we should play Wonderwall, just because, but we stuck with Prince. Fouls committed at 26-13 on each side, below Joshua Encarnacion's average of 31.5 in the 2 matches that he had refereed in Major League Soccer to that point. So 4 yellows on 13 cards for Minnesota, 3 yellows on 13 fouls for Atlanta United. Take the information as you wish. So that's the rundown of all the numbers, but at the end of the day, all of the Atlanta United players, 3, 6, the top 8 numbers in FOTMOB all belong to Atlanta United. The top player for Minnesota was Anthony Marcanic, who had a 7.4. So we were debating something like, Wonderwall and then doing a record scratch or something like that, or playing it at a different speed or playing it backward or something like that. We were debating a tongue-in-cheeky reference to it because of what happened with them, to them, for them, by Minnesota United last night. So, but we decided against it and stuck with Prince. All right, so going into the standings, obviously, Minnesota, they're still at the 9. 20 matches played, 25 points. Let me recycle that. Is that right? Is that correct? Are they at 20 matches in? I'm refreshing because the live standings weren't all that live last night. No, that's right. They're 20 matches in, 20 matches in, 25 points, but because of everything else that happened after them in the Western Conference, Minnesota is now on the outside looking in. 25 points, worse goal difference than LAG. LAG's played one more match, but they're both at 25 points. But this also lends itself to the chaos that's going on in the Western Conference that we'll get into with Niko coming up at 10:30. You've got 3, 6, 7 teams separated by 4 points in the Western Conference. Colorado, RSL at 28, Portland at 27, LAG at 25, ahead of Minnesota on goal difference. Seattle and San Diego with different numbers of matches played. Seattle match in hand has a better per match points average, 1.26 to 1.2. They have an inferior goal difference at the moment of 7 compared to San Diego. San Diego FC! So that's where we are in the Western Conference. Once again, 7 through 13, 7 teams separated by 4 points, either to get in, stay in, or get bumped out. So we'll get into that once again in the 10:30 segment with our buddy Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports. We know it was a late night, and we know we got to talk to him about it. So the one game that I wanted to kind of focus on here a little bit before we get into the Power Hour with Nino and Niko, because we do have Libertadores, we do have Sudamericana, we do have South America to get into, we do have Portugal to get into with Nino, and there's one thing that I do want to get into with Nino having to do with the Portuguese league. Last night in Philly, it was a game that was chaos personified, and it ended up in Chester with a 2-2 draw all over the place. I mean, the match was all over the place. It really was. And it was a gorgeous goal by Indiana Vassilev, by the way, to get things started. Great volley. No marking Indiana Vassilev whatsoever. Great volley to get things started in the 11th minute. Daniel Pinter scores in the 21st. Lionel Messi, I don't know if you've heard of him, used Kai Wagner as a screen to get the ball in the back of the net. Past Dane St. Clair. 2-1 at that point. Neil Pierre scores in the 58th. Milan Olaski almost scored. Well, he scored to make it 3-2, then he got wiped off the board for offside. And then you got both teams that are chasing after anything and everything north of 90 minutes. This also happened north of 90 minutes, and it was kind of the personification of this match. Jake and Taylor on the call, once again, courtesy of our friends at Apple TV.
Right to Bright. Now Suarez, forward to Ruiz. Alado back defending, wins a throw. Probably the final chance for Philadelphia to come forward and find a winner. Wagner, Jean-Jacques leaves. Kai Wagner cuts it back to Quinn Sullivan. Sullivan goes down. Play continues. And then Sullivan getting into it. This game has completely lost it. It was on the edge the past 15 minutes or so.
I didn't see anything there, but just out of your screen, Ian Frey steps on top of Quinn Sullivan. Yeah, here's the question. The question was, I think Yannick Bright and Kevin Sullivan are sent off because they both connected with semi-punches or blows to each other's face.
And that's ultimately what it was. Now, we showed you the yellow card that was given to Quinn Sullivan. But when they reviewed and looked at it, both Yannick Bright and Kevin Sullivan connected on punches, pushes to the face, whatever it is. Thus, the red card to both players.
So Yannick Bright and Kevin Sullivan have been sent off, and you saw that confrontation that those two got into. Quinn Sullivan shown a yellow card.
And so that was edited down. That was an edited down version of what happened, taking the seminal moment, taking out a little bit of the review, and then coming back with the red cards. After the match, Ryan Richter was asked about it, and here's what Ryan Richter, the head coach of Philadelphia Union, said about the incident in his press conference, courtesy of our friends once again at the Philadelphia Union.
Yeah, I thought the action that kicked off that whole situation in scrum was the real lack of respect from Frey when he comes over on top of Quinn, goes out of his way to do this. And you can look at the action for yourself. But so Quinn's reaction is totally normal of what you would do in that situation. But it's a real lack of respect, and things like that happen when people behave like that on the field.
Ryan Richter, the head coach of Philadelphia. And for those of you that didn't see it, it's up. It's everywhere. And what went down was Quinn Sullivan is trying to drive inside the 18 over far post, far side of the 18. Contact with Yannick Bright. He goes down. And he kind of stumbles into Ian Frey, and as he's on his hindquarters, cleats come up, and he may have swiped and hit Frey as a part of the backwash of all of that. So Quinn Sullivan is down. Ian Frey then wants to do the Allen Iverson thing of stepping over the opponent. And as he's being stepped over, Quinn Sullivan will have none of it, and he decides he wants to spear Ian Frey. So Frey is stepping over. Quinn Sullivan's had enough, and he basically goes into Ian Frey and spears him and spears him onto the turf. So you have that going on, and then of course when something happens to Quinn, that means that Kevin's jumping in, and Yannick Bright is in between Frey, Quinn, and Kevin, and so they kind of go back and forth a little bit, and there is some jostling and some high hands and punches and what have you. And it got to the point to where Yannick Bright wanted a piece of Kevin Sullivan as they both were going up the tunnel. And so the fact that we had a camera looking down the tunnel at Chester, where literally you had I think it was Yannick Bright who had to be restrained and kind of ushered toward his locker room as Kevin Sullivan was going down to his locker room. So that's what we see. So there will be no Kevin Sullivan for Philadelphia next time out. There will be no Ian Frey or no Yannick Bright for Messi and Friends next time out. So no Yannick Bright, no Kevin Sullivan for the matches on the weekend pending review, which I would imagine, and you only have X number of reviews that you can use during a year. So I don't know if this would be one of those situations where either team will burn a review. Miami is hosting Toronto at New Stadium on Saturday night, and Philadelphia is going to Austin to take on Los Verdos at Q2, 8:40 kick on Saturday night. So no Kevin Sullivan, and keep an eye out on supplemental discipline on Ian Frey and Quinn Sullivan. And this is not the first time that Kevin Sullivan has decided he wanted to mix it up in a scrum situation. So does that get taken into account? Keep an eye out for supplementary discipline after that. So when Disco comes out with their Disco After Dark later this week, we'll see if there are any envelopes that get sent to either Chester or to Fort Lauderdale. So that was probably the biggest event that happened last night that has kind of resonated with folks. Like I said, last night, Cincinnati over NYC, Montreal over Columbus, big upset there. Alexis Sanchez came in and debuted. He had a cup of coffee. I want to say it was like 13 minutes. New England over DC United, 3-0. Line mistake, people. We had that one pegged. Nashville over Red Bulls at the death. Max Waleji with the goal on a header past Ethan Horvath. Chicago over the Purple Team. I think that match just ended about 20 minutes ago. They had all kinds of weather in Central Florida last night. Who knew? Philadelphia, Miami, we talked about that one. Toronto and Charlotte. Walker Zimmerman gets a red card. Toronto down to 10. They come back to tie Charlotte. Kansas City and St. Louis, 1-1 draw. Atlanta with the win. Colorado shocks LAFC. Dallas in a 7-goal thriller with RSL. If you follow Jarrett Smith on the Twitters, basically Pablo Mastroeni after the match was kind of intimating that the starting lineup was going to have Sabalob Janidze in it. Austin over Seattle 2-1. We'll talk to Niko about that one coming up once again at the bottom of the hour, last half hour of the show. Galaxy over San Jose 1-0 in Cali Classico. Portland welcomes Marty Cifuentes 3-1 win over San Diego FC at Providence Park. And Houston continues their clean sheet mania. 1-0 over Vancouver at BC Place. And we'll go over all of those in the last half hour of the show. Before our buddy Nino Torres joins us, Pablo Maurer at The Guardian this morning. MLS is planning a potential overhaul of the playoffs, double elimination, reseeding, and as much as 20 teams. Changes which would debut in 28 alongside the shift to fall to spring could include double elimination components and see as many as 20 teams feature. Obviously, sources speaking on the condition of anonymity because they weren't authorized to discuss the league's plans. Viewing a potential schedule for the new format, playoffs would start in late April, go over 3 weeks. MLS Cup May 21st of 2028. Changes to the playoff format would pair with the long-reported changes to the regular season. 5 divisions set up in place of the current Eastern Conference, Western Conference structure. 20 potential spots would not necessarily be evenly distributed among the league's divisions. Instead, it would be combined into a single table at season's end, and the overall 20 best would advance to the postseason. 8 of the 20 would take part in a play-in round, 4 advancing to create a final field of 16 teams. Top 8 combined table, play double elimination. Move aimed further at incentivizing the regular season matches. A win in the initial round would see a team through directly to the quarters. Team sources said would be reseeded after each round, ensuring the higher-seeded teams are offered competitive and hosting advantage throughout the playoffs. And, of course, MLS would not comment on the potential changes. We'll keep an eye on that. All right. It is hour number 2, which means one thing. We go to Lima, Peru. And we give the proper greeting for hour number 2 because we have the hydration break. We have to do that too now. Yellow, yellow, yellow. It is time to hydrate, my friend. How are you, Nino Torres?
Yes, sir. Yellow, yellow, yellow. Soccer Down here, fans. Nino Torres with you on this marvelous and exciting Thursday, full of soccer, full of stories. This is what I love, man. This is what I love about sport, man. It's just, we got so beautiful stories. So many beautiful stories today, guys.
Mm-hmm. And there was one story that because of me not being here and we had an Atlanta United 2 game in the time slot last week. One of the stories that you gave me last week, is it cool to mention the story number 4 from last week? Is that cool?
Let me see. Hold on. Let me see.
Is it cool to mention this?
Let me see.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Is it cool to mention that one?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So the Liga Portugal, their season started, and Nino, because of what he means to a lot of the fans in the fabric of the Liga Portugal, the fans kind of honored you, and now there's this thing on social media, right, where you gotta add Nino to the conversation. Go ahead and talk about this. I thought this was really cool.
It was really nice, because I was just scrolling, always reading Twitter, always seeing what's going on with the league and everything, and I noticed this Portuguese podcast, right, that they cover the league, and I was Nino Torres, like, wait a second, why my name is all over the place here? What's going on? So across the board on several Portuguese podcasts that they come in the league, they decided to put my the Nino Torres award for the goal of the week. So that's that was man. It really touched me, man. It really touched me because you just you gave it all. You put all your passion, all your professionalism, all your preparation on your work, and then to be recognized like that for the fans, and for not just the fans, because they're journalists too. And it was special, man. I feel it feels nice. I feel special.
It was very, very
Yeah.
cool. So I couldn't let that go. I had to bring that back in with the start of the new season. So this week, we start with Cienciano. Party like it's 2003. Why not? What in the wide world of sports is going here? Cienciano, man.
They're rolling.
Uh-huh.
They're rolling, brother. They just the only team to put 6 goals on a Brazilian team in a CONMEBOL competition. Ever. I mean, ever, Johnny. Not River Plate, no Boca, no. It was Cienciano. All right, Cienciano, the only team in the history of the competitions in CONMEBOL to put 6 goals on a Brazilian team. It doesn't matter if it was at home, away. I don't care. They put 6. Nobody else could do that. So they just. There is this. I mean, I gotta use this word because it's so trendy now. The aura, right? Freaking aura. It's all over the place. Cienciano has an aura on this competition in Sudamericana. They do. They dominate. They put everything on the grill, and it's working. It's working because many times you say that's the I'm not gonna say this excuse. It's valid. There's a valid point about playing in the altitude. All right, but if you don't perform, I don't care if you're playing 5,000 feet, 15,000 feet, 25,000 feet above the sea level. If your team is bad, you're not gonna win. You're just not gonna win. But if you have the altitude and you play ball and you score the goals like you've been scoring, everything is possible. Everything is possible, and now they're going tonight to play Botafogo, and I don't think Botafogo is going to put 5 goals, and Cienciano is not going to score a single goal. It's not going to happen. It's just not, okay. They might win. Most likely, Botafogo will win. I want to say 3. Right? They put 3-2-1. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight because if one thing Melgarejo knows about this competition is how to play away. Cienciano knows how to play away. Forget about when they're playing at home. They dominate in Cusco. But when they go away, they make sure all lines are tight. You're not going to get any distractions. Everybody is going to be focused. He's not going to give the spaces that the opposition is looking for. He got all that cover. And I love this guy because that nowadays in press conferences, journalists, they're trying to be the protagonist. No, brother, I don't care about your whole story. Just ask a question and let the interviewer get the answers, right? I don't want to give you a speech and all this trend, Johnny. I hate it, Johnny. I hate it. I remember Stuart Scott saying this. Just ask a question, brother. Why, when, what, and where. Okay? And the person will give you the answer. Don't give me the speech. I don't want to know how much you know about the sport or tactics or whatever. No, just ask a question. So in Cusco press conferences, Melgarejo, in Cusco, they're really proud of what they have, right? And they're really proud of the city, of what it means for Peru and for the archaeological standpoint, and or their values and everything. But when it comes to soccer, they're like they believe that Cienciano is Liverpool, man. I mean, it's not. I mean, they're playing fantastic, right? But it's not Liverpool. Right? It's not. Don't ask the questions like if you were asking the Jurgen Klopp. Okay, no. This is a team that they got the good signings. They got a good coach, but like the other day they were saying, hey, why do you score more goals than 1-for-1? and Melgarejo's like, I'm not going to ask that question. See you guys. Bye. So they put 6 on this one, right? They put 6 goals on Botafogo. And Melgarejo, you notice that he was looking for the guy. Where's this guy? Where's this guy that's going to ask him about it? Now you can ask me anything you want, but don't ask me about scoring more goals, okay? So he's and he's great because he's not letting the journalists to steal the protagonism from the team and from what they're doing on the pitch and on this competition, you know. But it is just ridiculous, man. But anyway, that I want to throw that out because it's horrible, Johnny. I mean, we got the press conferences. Every press conference that you go, the journalist goes to and this and what if it matters? La 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 la. Ask the goddamn question, brother.
Oh, there's the E rating for the day. There it goes.
Jesus, Lord, I'm sorry.
By the way, for folks that don't know, Cienciano, they have turned this into a choose your own whooping stick adventure. Basically, they have taken their opponents in the last 2 rounds and told them to go out back, find the branch that has fallen off the tree, pick their own branch, and we will hit you with it. That literally is where they are. They beat Lanús in the round of 32. They were down 2-0 after the first leg. They scored 4 and won 4-2. Then you mentioned the first leg against both
the reigning champions, by the way. Yeah, not just any.
It's like reigning champions in the round of 32, and you just took the whooping stick to them. And then in the opening round of the round of 16 against Botafogo, you scored 3 goals in 12 minutes in the first half. It was 3-0, and you finish up 6-1 against Botafogo. It was 5-0, man. This was not even close. This was one of those where we call them a horizon.
Absolute domination.
It was a horizon job where, you know, in sailing, when the one boat is so far ahead of you, you don't even see them on the horizon. That's what this was when it was 5-0 and you finished 6-1. And so the back end for this one in the round of 8 is absolutely crazy. So you get to watch that on BN, on Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. All right, topic number 2. Platense and their magical number 8. What's going on here?
You know, this is an absolutely beautiful story of Platense with Martin Palermo leading the way. They're on the Elite 8 in the Copa Libertadores. Okay? And 8 years ago, they were playing in the 3rd division in Argentina. 3rd division, Johnny. 8 years ago. Now they're in the Elite 8. And that makes them the only team in the history of the sport to come to win the 3rd division, 2nd division, 1st division, and in their first international competition to go into the Elite 8. Nobody has done that. If Ipswich Town almost did it in 62, it came from the 3rd division all the way up to the Premier League. They got into the not the Elite 8, the round before. And they got beat by AC Milan. If they would have won, if they would have beat Milan, they would be also the only team in the history of the sport to reach the Elite 8, coming from the 3rd division in a span of 8 years. And it is I love Platense. I got a special thing with Platense. I don't know why I picked them up back in the 90s when I was a subscriptor for El Gráfico, which is, by the way, the not South American, Latin American Bible for soccer for us that we are Generation X, which is like devour all the editions of El Gráfico. For me, the best printed sport media that I ever seen in my life. Anyway, Platense was in the 90s. And this is a small team from a small city from Vicente Lopez, and they were always pulling up these glorious battles with River, with Boca Juniors. They ruined so many championships for them. They ruined so many championships in the 90s. They eliminate Boca once, they eliminate River once, they eliminate the Estudiantes once, and throughout the 90s, I pick up the story. I got a little feeling for Platense, and now seeing them in the Copa Libertadores, going into the Elite 8, This is absolutely massive, man. Absolutely massive. And on all the, I'm not going to say all the credit to Martin Palermo because he just got the team like a month ago or so. And, but he, this is the impact, right? The impact of guys that they're winners, right? And guys that they won it all. And they also not just won it all, they just went through phases, difficult phases in their career, losing his son, all the injuries for Martin Palermo, and returning to action and win. That's a special condition that a coach have when they go into these teams, that they need something like that, someone like that, to go to the next level, to achieve something that is not on the books to be achieved for a team that was in the third division 8 years ago.
And for me anyway, it's really cool to see these kinds of stories where you've got folks that they might get dirt kicked on them for the longest time, and then they've made their way through and knocking off Coquimbo Unido 2-1 in the aggregate last time, and they are now, I think, less than 3 weeks away from match number 1 in the round of 8. Okay, all these goals getting scored. Benfica said, "Hold my beer," and Benfica put 7 on Casapia. I think that probably speaks more about Casapia than it might speak about Benfica. But they scored 7 after drawing their first match of the year 2-2 with Académico, and the fans are pissed.
They are pissed because Joel Piñeiro. By the way, I want to put this out first to give context to the guys that they're not following that close this league. Every single year, every single season, since I remember, for 7 years, this one game that ends up 7-0. There's 1 7-0 on every single season in the Primera Liga. Okay. So just to throw that out. Now, in this case, in this particular case, the outrage from the fans comes from the goal differential, right? Because in the end, it's gonna be decided by that. The goal differential is gonna matter to decide the champion. And they're not angry at Benfica. They're angry at the ref, Joel Piñeiro, who, by the way, Joel Piñeiro and Godinho, they're the 2 most controversial referees in the league. If you put any of those 2 names on a sentence, controversy follows after that. It's always. It's like, and the crazy part is like Joel Piñeiro. It was in the World Cup. He's in the Champions League. He's great when he refs teams that are not from Portugal. But when you go to Portugal, there's always something happens with Piñeiro, man. Always something happens. But in this case, I'm gonna be Piñeiro's side. On Piñeiro's side, I'm not gonna be on the fan side, because if the game is 7-0, right? I know they made 5 substitutions on one side, 5 substitutions on the other side. They got to check all these 7 goals. So you should add at least 7-8 more minutes to the timer, to the 90 minutes, right? But on the other side, it's common sense. Like, why would I extend the item?
Yeah, because it's over. They're getting beat, and just go home.
Yeah, 2 minutes, it's over, man. Come on, let's go. That's I always ask this for the refs when I see these one-sided games. Just do it, And then all the Benfica fans are like against me. I'm like, why, man? This, brother, you got 2 rounds already. You got 32 more games to score as many goals as you want. So don't tell me that in the end you're gonna lose the championship because Joel Piñeiro didn't add 8 minutes to the game and you're gonna score 10 goals. No, don't tell me that. It's just like fans getting so crazy, man. They just like, no, I want this. Like, you're not happy with 7. Just be happy with 7.
Well, and you know who?
So what are the odds that you can score 3 more goals in the next 5 minutes?
You know who currently has the biggest goal difference in the Primera right now?
No.
Benfica with 7. They've got the largest goal difference right now. They've scored 9. They've given up 2. They've got the 1 win in the draw. But yeah, they have the largest goal difference right now in the league, and they're and they're in the
Of
4
course.
spot behind Aruca, Porto, and Maritimo, which is not going to keep with 2 of those 3. I would.
Yeah, Ruka's gonna fall apart. It's just only 2 rounds. They're always the first 4 or 5 rounds of the competition. They're always they're just like, oh man, look at these guys, look at Aruca guys, look at Vittorio Guimaraes guys. I'm like, oh no, they're gonna fall apart. There's gonna be a 3-horse race like every year. I don't see this going any different way this year either. Man.
Topic number 4. Serie A starts this weekend with a Portuguese magician. Hit me.
Oh my! I'm so mad, because Rodrigo Mora,
Yes.
the Rodrigo Mora, the magician. He has like no space in Fayetteville system. They won the league, yes, but it's just sometimes players need to go to a different club in order to get the credit that they deserve. That's not just the credit, but the opportunity that they deserve, because this kid deserves all the opportunity in the world, man. I know his second, the second half of the last season wasn't great, but he's 18. He's 18. You think he's not gonna bounce back? He's not gonna perform? He's not. He already proved his talent. And not only in the domestic competition, in the international competition too. When they played Champions League, when they played Champions League, was it Europa League? You saw the talent. You saw the skills. It's not like you cannot just ban this player from the 11 or from the 18 in order to get chances to change the game. But now he's gone. Now he's gone. He's going to be in Serie A, and I think Serie A is they're going to be grateful for having him. They will be grateful for having this kid. And usually when this happens, right, when teams that were not recognized enough in their team and going to the other league, to the other club, boom, they just like their performance go skyrocket, man. It's just crazy. Usually happens that, man.
Yeah.
Usually.
So keep an eye out on Roma. They are a big favorite at home on Monday Night Football for us, anyway. Minus 179 hosting Fiorentina, and for a match week number 1. Then the other topic here. Moreno and a Sir Alex story that I didn't know, and that's why, once again, I save stuff like this for last, because it's almost like now you know the rest of the story. So what is this with Moreno and Sir Alex?
Yeah. It is crazy because, I've been watching this. You got to watch it, John. You got to watch this documentary about Jose Mourinho, the special one is calling, of course, the best title for a movie or documentary for Mourinho. So Mourinho was coaching Madrid, right? Mourinho was coaching Madrid, and first season was great, second season was great, third season was an absolute disaster because of the internal affairs in that locker room, and it was insane. But anyway, so at the same time in England, right? Alex Ferguson was about to step down. He was about to leave United, and he made a phone call to Mourinho. Hey, I think you were the one. If it's gonna be any successor to this throne, it's gotta be you. I want it to be you. And Jose says yes. He said yes. Manchester United came with an offer. All right, this is the offer. You good? Yeah, I'm good. In the same week that he said yes, there's another phone call from another caller, not from the red collar teams, from the blue collar team from London.
Oh man,
Sanford Bridge. Click, click, click. This is Chelsea, Mourinho. You remember us? Yeah, I do remember you guys. You want to come back home? And he was like, heck yeah. So he called United and said no to United because his love for Chelsea was bigger than everything else. And that's why he said yes to Chelsea on his return to Chelsea. And he said no to United. Of course, after, I don't know, when was that? 2020, 21?
Yeah.
I forgot what was
I still don't think he has recovered from that decision.
And yeah, he went back to Chelsea and that's the story. You know, he said no, and Alex Ferguson is on the documentary saying, "I can't believe this guy." You know, not with that tone, with his Scottish tone, but
exactly just like
no,
that.
No, with the Nino Torres tone, but the apertura, no, not like that, no. But yeah, it's insane, right? How after that many years, the United just couldn't fill that seat, right? It's off after all these years, Johnny. I mean, every year, I believe I thought Amorim was gonna be the guy.
But they weren't patient with him, and that's the thing. You've got to be patient with him, and they weren't. They freaked out.
Yeah, and they were patient with Sir Alex in the beginning. They were patient, but this. We're in a different world right now, man. We're in a different world right now. It's just like, if you don't like it, you're gonna scroll it. You're just gonna scroll it up, man. Scroll it up, and everything goes faster now. It's ridiculous, man.
Manchester City apparently is working on a deal to sign Palmeiras winger Alan Elias, one of multiple targets that they've identified for this window. And Palmeiras sources speaking on the condition of anonymity have also indicated the winger's release clause is set at €100 million and that he is not for sale. Broke into his boyhood club senior side in 25, 48 Serie A appearances, 6 goals, 5 assists, scored 6 in all comps as Palmeiras lead the top flight in Brazil, but he's yet to make an international appearance. So everybody's got a price.
Oh yeah. Palmeiras got always. They were so close to be not advancing to the next round of competition when playing Cerro Porteño last night, but they got it done. Flamengo's through, Palmeiras through. That story is not going to change. A couple of Libertadores. We're not having the Cinderella story this year either. It's going to be a Brazilian team, and probably Flamengo again. Okay. Jesus, Lord, when is this going to stop, man?
All right. So what else is going on, my friend?
We got
I'm guessing somebody called him. And so there he is. Wait.
Big weekend now because it's my so gone now. I'm gone.
No, you're good. We got you.
All right.
You're good.
Right. So it's gonna be 80 for my daddy. So I'm so happy, man, to have him on town. He lives like on the North Shore, like 500 miles away. So he's gonna come over here because all the family's here. So it's gonna be massive.
Yep. And so what are you gonna make him? Are you gonna make him a big honking cake? Are you gonna be in the kitchen for this one?
Oh yeah. So I got the design already in my mind already. I got everything. It's gonna be massive, Johnny. You'll see I'll post the pictures. You know, I'll always post the pictures. So you'll see it on the IG. You see the massive 80 cake.
Yes. Man, I can't wait. Make it in the shape of an 8. I think that'd be kind of cool. Have a fantastic weekend, my friend. And we love you very much. And we will catch up with you again this time next week, and we'll talk stuff. Hey?
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week. Take care.
There he goes, Nino Torres. Fantastic. 80 for his dad. That's very cool. But yeah, I want pictures. I want pictures on the Instagram. I want a bunch of them. And I want like the photo of like the photo of like the face, just like he took the cake and he's just like jamming it in his face. It's just like whatever the icing is, just all over his dad's face and everything. Or maybe there's a food fight. Take the extra icing and just kind of wing it around the kitchen. But no, you don't want to mess up the kitchen. You want to take the extra icing. You want to do it outside in the yard. You want to do that. Yeah. So while everything else is going on, you're throwing icing at each other, like the water balloons and stuff. You sit there and just throw the icing at each other. I think that'd be hilarious. But yeah, Nino the Baker on the IG, and look at all of his stuff. And we still have to figure out the shipping. We got to figure out the shipping of the dessert. We got to do that because we got to get that squared away. So yes, whenever somebody heads north, we know how we're doing it. We just got to get somebody to head north so we can have the desserts, and they have to be frozen or packed in dry ice or something. And then the dry ice makes its way here, and then we have dessert, and we make a big deal of it on the air because then we will have had dessert shipped from Peru. How many folks can sit there and say, yeah, we had dessert shipped from Peru? I believe that's one show, people. That's one show, one network, us. That's because we love Nino very much. And we love to see the man succeed, and we love to have him here on Thursdays. And so that's just bottom line. Like I said, we love him very much, and we love to see him succeed. And we're a bunch of dessert folks, and so it all just works out that way. All right, so hang on. This is in his time there, not his piece. In his time there. So I'm trying to do like 9 things at once here. Hang on just a second. Okay, I think I got that figured out. All right. Okay. Let's get into, before Niko Moreno joins us, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanati, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. It helps them. It helps us. It helps you. Get all your stuff. College soccer. There's a lot of it today. Jason will be at Mercer. Women's soccer, you've got, let's see, how many? We've got a bunch. This is women's soccer starts at noon on the Plus. Trying to see who's in the footprint that might be worthy. Marshall and the High Point is at 4. Like I said, a lot of the stuff is on the Plus. Some of it might be on ACC Network Extra. Let's see, Charlotte, NC State, ACC Network Extra is at 5. Wake's playing Iowa at 5. Let's see, Chattanooga and Belmont, nice Tennessee matchup at 6. Davidson, South Carolina, Upstate's at 6. Alabama A&M, West Florida is at 6. FIU and Duke is at 6. West Georgia, East Tennessee State is at 6 o'clock. And this is on the women's side. Coastal Carolina, Florida, SEC Plus at 6:30. Obviously, 7 o'clock, James Madison and Georgia, SEC Network. Glenn Davis, Joe Lloyd, and Marion Crowder. Our pregame show starts at 6 o'clock, goes from like 6 to 6:50, and then we yield the floor to them at 7 o'clock. Georgia State and Sanford is at 7 o'clock, also on the Plus on the women's side. Then it is Milwaukee and Tennessee. And so Milwaukee's making their way in their snowbird schedule. They play Tennessee here tonight, and then they go and play Georgia after the matchup that Georgia has with James Madison today. So Milwaukee just continues to work their way south. They're in Knoxville today, and on the weekend they're in Athens. Let's see, Prairie View and UT Rio Grande Valley's at 7:30. Auburn, Southern Illinois is at 7:30. Ole Miss and Charleston's on Flow at 8. Let's see, UAB, Western Kentucky's at 8. TCU, Alabama, UCF, LSU, that's on SEC Plus. Troy and Southeastern Louisiana. That gets us into the Western matchups, and the last one on the board, 2 of them, 10:30, Oregon, Santa Clara, and San Jose State and UC Santa Barbara. So that's the women's side only. There's a boatload of games. We'll try and get the mashup for you tomorrow as to what went down. Men's side, Campbell's playing at 3 o'clock. Davidson's playing Charleston at 5. Longwood, Bill and Mary's at 6. South Carolina, North Florida is at 6. Etsu's playing Queens at 6. NC Asheville, Northern Kentucky's at 6. 7 o'clock is when it kind of kicks in earnest. Florida Atlantic and Mercer. Once again, Jason's on the call on ESPN Plus for that one. It is UCLA and Virginia on ACC Network Extras at 7 o'clock. Maryland and Pitt. FIU and Creighton. Air Force and Army, 7 o'clock, ESPN Plus on the men's side. West Virginia and Charlotte, DePaul and Bradley. Wofford, Gardner Webb. 7:10, Fairfield and Marshall. North Carolina, Georgetown at 7:30. It is San Francisco and Wake at 7:30. A lot of the Big Ten activity starts at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Chicago State and Lindenwood's also at 8. 8:30, the men's side, UTRGV, or the men's side, UTRGV and West Florida. Cal Poly in Denver, and then the late game is at 10:30, Grand Canyon and Sanford on ACC Network Extras. That literally is just the college game. There's a boatload of college action today. Now, tonight, Sudamericana doubleheader on BN, Macará Santos, Botafogo Cienciano. That's at 8:30, as we were discussing. BN Español simulcasting. ESPN Deportes, La Liga, Rayo Vallecano, and Alaves is at 3 o'clock. Fox Deportes, the league we don't talk about, is at 2. Golazo Network, League One, Sheffield Wednesday, and Bradford City. The Bantams, 3 o'clock. Caribbean Cup is at 6. Defense Force and Broquis. Central American Cup, 9 and 11. Alianza Olympia and Firpo and Alajuelense. That's at 11 o'clock. ESPN Plus simulcasting La Liga. Fox O&E simulcasting the league we don't talk about. Same for Fox Soccer Plus. One matchup in MLS Next Pro. LAFC 2, Sporting Kansas City 2. That one's at 10 o'clock. One football, MLSNextPro.com, and at Major League Soccer's YouTube channel. Paramount Plus, the League One matchup, the Caribbean Cup, and the Central American Cup. Sudamericana's on VIX, Olympia, and Vasco da Gama is at 6 o'clock. Now, once again, with Fanatis, you get all the BNs, which means you get Libertadores, Sudamericana, ties to CATV, ties to Tigo Sports, a lot of the A and B divisions in South American football. You get everything on the African continent. You get AFCON, WAFCON, AFC Champions League, all the qualifiers for various World Cup age groups. You get all of that. You also get the Portuguese League, the French League, the Polish League, and the Turkish League. They're all up and running. And that starts, once again, that's all on all the BNs. You get TVV out of Venezuela, Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. It is Nuestra Tele out of Chile. It is TC out of Argentina. And I know I'm missing somebody. So it's Liga 1, Peru. I think I got everybody. Okay, so all the stuff in Central, all the stuff in South America, and all the BNs at Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. So that's your what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it with all the things. So that is the rundown there with all of that stuff. Let's see. Yeah, Zimmerman got a red last night, Abby. And good to have you in, OG. So there you go. Yeah, well, and OG's talking about Ian Frey and the step over and Quinn Sullivan. You know, you want to do the Allen Iverson step over, then you got to be prepared for the consequences, or hope that Ian Frey would get a bigger card and then just see what happens from there. But the one thing that Kevin Sullivan has to remember, yes, you're defending your brother in the situation. Yes, you want to jump in the pile, but sometimes you don't need to jump in the pile because you get a red card and you're not available next time out. There are times to exhibit patience and there are times to exhibit payback. That was not one. I know that at 16, you always want immediate payback in these situations. Sometimes immediate payback is not the most prudent thing to look for. Patience. There's always going to be a time. Ask the Colorado Avalanche and the Detroit Red Wings. 371 days. Claude Lemieux, Darren McCarty. Go see that documentary if you've never seen it. It's on the 4-letter. There's always a time for payback. It doesn't have to be immediate retribution. And there's no disputing that Kevin Sullivan is an incredibly talented player. But sometimes just let the action happen. Stand up for your brother and with your brother, but don't go over the edge. And this has happened, I think, twice in the last month. So, patience. Patience, patience, patience. I know that you're 16, and I understand that. I was 16 400 years ago. I understand the idea of jumping in the pile and being there for your brother, whether it's blood or otherwise. Like I said, we'll see if Disco comes out with we'll see if Disco comes out with any other ideas, and we'll see what it looks like. We'll see what it looks like if there's any supplementary discipline when it comes to what happens with those particular individuals and what the size of the envelope will be that is going to be overnighted from the league office and will be heading toward the headquarters in Chester, Pennsylvania of Philadelphia Union. So we'll keep an eye on all of that. Niko Moreno set to join us coming up here in just a little bit. And that will be, we're going to go over what happened last night in Major League Soccer. Obviously, we got to start right. And that's the thing, OG. Get in their face, maybe an index finger pointing, but don't extend your hand. Don't let the arm go. Don't do a face wash or anything like that, like the Flyers do. Get in their face, keep your hands to yourself, let the other person sit there and get in trouble first. That's what you got to do. All right, last half hour on a Thursday. Time to go to Seattle and find out what in the wide world of sports is going on. Because the grip factor, I'm sure, is very large. We bring in our friend Niko Moreno, Pulso Sports. So is the grip factor very large, sir?
What's going on, John? The grip factor.
Is everybody gripping? Are they clutching? Are they gripping at pearls? Where is it after what happened last night? What is the grip factor? How is it? DEFCON 5? Is it scramble the bombers, get sack on the line? We're at DEFCON 5, and you just launch all the missiles and everything. Where is it with what happened last night with Austin and Seattle?
Yeah, man, it's DEFCON 5, is panic buttons, and it's alarms, is called the United Nations. Let's get something, trying to find a binding resolution for whatever it is that's going on. Because, hey, I don't know how much farther this team can continue to spiral out of control.
Wow.
And continue business as usual. And I'm sorry, SDH family. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's good.
Oh, yeah.
I am on my second cup of coffee. Definitely came home and caught up on some other MLS games just to do something different, right? And I was able to watch a couple of games. But yes, after watching what was allegedly 28,000 plus at Lumen Field per the attendance that was announced, because it felt like 20.
Well, yeah, but
in that stadium.
It's tickets sold, not butts and seats. Yeah.
Yes, so tickets sold, butts and seats might have been
Yeah.
20, and that's being generous, because it just felt dire, man. I mean, it just did not look good. And to be frank, guys, everyone, that first half was a hard watch. Yeah. I mean, I've been to a lot of Sounder games, and that first half between the Sounders and Austin was a hard watch. Austin was the better team. Seattle was extremely lucky that they came off that first half 0-0. I thought that they had no intentionality. I thought that they were lost. I heard Brian talk about a diamond in the midfield or changing it up in the first half. I haven't rewatched the game yet. I haven't really had the time to do so yet. But if it was a diamond, it was maybe a Dorito, but it was not a diamond. I mean, that was as bad of a game as I can remember. I mean, the team looked completely disjointed once again. I have no doubt in my mind that Brian set it up wrong this time around. Like, he got it wrong. I mean, he absolutely did, because once he changed it up in the second half, once they played the way they've been playing in terms of at least their concepts, their principles, and their formation, there seemed to be a better understanding. He, pushed up the line of confrontation. Brian did. They high pressed better, and the game kind of shifted in the second half, and they were able to get some opportunities. I talked to Facundo Torres after the game, and he said, look, they started off the second half a lot better than we did, and then we had to adjust, and I think we ended up getting the win because of a couple of really good moments, and that's kind of what happened. But man, if I'm Brian Smetzer and I'm looking at that tape, I'm grabbing those tactics from that first half, burning them, and never ever talk about them ever again.
Goals by Facundo Torres and Guillermo Biro, 66 and 87. Stu Hawkins gets a goal in the 90th, 2-1 the final. Starting 11, it was Andrew Thomas, left to right, Nuhu, Jackson Reagan, Kim Ki-hee, and KKR. Then you had Gomez and Alex Roldan in front of them. They were the two elements, the bottom of the Dorito were Gomez and Roldan. I guess Rusnak was the point of the Dorito there. Attack, Rothrock, Rusnak, Kingston, and then Danny Musovsky up top. And I mean, it sounds like the Hawkins goal was kind of an oh by the way. It's just like, Austin's in control. They've got the 2-0 lead, and then Hawkins gets one, and then you race back, and you're sitting there and you're trying to you're waving into the crowd and everything. But it seems like from what you're describing to me, it was more like an oh by the way, and finished up 2-1 because more of what Austin didn't do instead of what Seattle did.
And yes, that there's a lot of part of that, but there's also once, as I said, in the second half, you kind of adjusted and you shifted and you played differently. Not only did you start off good, but you ended excellently because Seattle ended up on top of Austin. Austin was asking the referee, man, are you going to call this thing or what? Because, the Sounders were really on top of them, especially after the Stu Hawkins goal. So it is unfortunate that even when the team can create some opportunities and even when they have and they look like there's some life there, you still can't get the win. You give Austin their first road win of the year. You're playing the bottom of the West. I mean, in this 8-game losing streak in MLS regular season, you've lost Cascadia matches, you've lost to the worst, you've lost to the best. There's just no ending of it. And look, for your fans and your audience that might not be aware, there is an injury crisis. And you just lost Jesus Ferreira from up to 8 to 10 weeks, according to what we're being told. That might as well be season ending at this point, because I don't know if he'll come back to any games. I mean, I really can't sit here and tell you that is. So if we're cooked, as they say, why are we not starting to think who is going to be here next year? Who is going to be a good pillar, a good component moving forward so we can see what they have? Stu Hawkins should have started this game. Kim Ki-hee is 39,000 years old. Love the guy. Very, smart player, great in the locker room. He's had some health issues, but he's not going to be a guy moving forward next year. So give Stu Hawkins some time, some minutes, some very well-needed time to continue to get better and grow and do all of these things. Why are we still putting Danny Musovsky out there? He was horrible against Vancouver. Danny Musovsky was terrible against Vancouver. And you stuck with that guy and you played him once again, and he was uninfluential and unimpactful, and he had one opportunity, he still can't put it away in the 60th minute. I mean, why? Just if you're going to stick to somebody because you want to start to put more of an 11 together to, it's August, but okay, let's put a consistent 11 together away from the injuries and maybe go with Osase, go with the younger guy. I'm frustrated with the situation. I know it's not all Brian's fault. I know that for a fact, because again, the injuries, lack of signings, it's incredible to me that it's 2 weeks before the end of the transfer window, and we still don't have guys here. And it's not about are they coming, it's why are they not here already? Yeah, you haven't done anything in the last 5 summers, which is the reason why you are where you are, right? You have not been able to replace Raul or Niko or Obed, and you continue to just dallygag when it comes to the summer window, and you're not doing what everybody else is doing. You're not doing what Vancouver was doing, and picking up guys here and there. You don't got to spend $5 million or 6 or 8 or 10, but spend 3 to 2. Spend 1. I mean, my Lord, that's all I want is just 1, right? And just continue to make your roster better. And so it's difficult, man. It's real difficult to look at this Sounders team and figure out when and how they're gonna get better. Christian Roldan, Hassani Dotson, and Jordan Morris are getting close. Brian teased them for Cincinnati. They're not gonna play against Cincinnati. They're not going to play in Cincinnati. I really don't know when they're going to play next. Christian Roldan might be the one that's farthest along, but is that enough? I don't know. They got 2 players coming in. I think I'm close to the one that they're locking in. Great. That's awesome. I mean, that should have been done a couple of weeks ago, but whatever. You're going to bring him in. Is that going to, I don't think so, man. You lost De La Vega. You lost Jesus. We're trying to figure out what's going on with the rest of the guys. I don't see how this is going to get any better. And
you mentioned Cincinnati. You're a plus 301 heading to Cincinnati on Saturday night, and they're a minus 143. And unless somebody basically puts Evander in a Waymo and the Waymo goes nuts and doesn't get him to TQL, you're going to have to face that with that back line of yours.
It should be plus 400. I mean, it really makes me uncomfortable to think how bad you're going to get beat if Cincinnati throws their big dogs out there. If Vander's on a tear, Kevin Denke is going to just manhandle you because you have nobody that's physical enough in that back line. Love Stu, he's going to be great, but man, that's a grown man coming at you like a freight train. He looks like he should be in the UFC. I mean, Rampage out there. And so, who's going to be able to really put there? You have so many game changers and so many game winners in Cincinnati. I mean, it's going to take a real miracle on ice, like, Brian likes to quote, because I just don't see it. It's just not going to be in the cards. And it's not just defensively, but, on offense, the team look, again, disjointed. The transition moments are slow. I mean, slow transitions and ineffective, and there is misunderstandings and there is miscommunications, and man, it's bad. It's bad out here.
19 goals in 21 goals in 19 matches, so that's a goals for of about 1.1. And I mean, the defense isn't horrible. It's like $1.25 in goals against, but once again, you're 24 points. You're in the chaos that's going on in the West, 7-13. So 7 teams separated by 4 points right now, either through match day 19, 20, or 21. So yeah, you're in the heart of that chaos, trying to get into the playoffs right now, since Seattle is listed as 12th, the 7th of the 8 teams that are a part of that gaggle trying to get in or stay in the West.
Yeah, and look, you're right. I mean, it's how you started the season mainly that why the numbers probably look that good when it comes to the defense. Oh man, am I frozen? Because that is not the face that you want when I'm frozen. Oh, there it is. But look, that's why I kind of find it funny that look, Paul Rothberg's been getting a lot of heat from people, especially the national media. Like that guy shouldn't be your number one. And it's like, come on, man. Like, that's one of the guys who's actually trying. Like, I get that it's not perfect. I get that it's not a guy that, he could definitely do a lot better when it comes to his services into the box, when he hits the end line and stuff. I've heard things of Nuhu. Look, Nuhu had a big boo-boo against Vancouver. But look, without Nuhu, that defense is pretty weak, man. So you have to kind of be thankful that he's out there. I think Doyle say that is the worst soccer he's ever seen Nuhu play. That's a lie. I beg to defer, and we can have a conversation from somebody that has been watching the Nuhu train have his ups and downs ever since he was in Sounders too. So, those are the things that are kind of trying to make it work. There's a lot of young kids like Peter Kingston. I think the Alex Roldan midfield does give you a little bit of settlement there. There are things that at least you're trying to keep this team from just falling apart every single game, but it's just not good enough. You look at it and you see and you see Cincinnati coming, you see Chicago coming. Chicago's been, great. Lewandowski against this team. I mean, it's difficult to feel like this team is going to start to get any sort of win. So as you drop in the standings, you start to think, when is it too far to really get back into it? And look, it's MLS. I get it. What you really need is a month of good soccer to fight your way back into the playoffs. And we'll see what these new signings do. Apparently, it's, one winger, one striker makes sense. Winger is a dire need right now for this team. That's probably where you're going to put most of your resources. And, they've targeted a couple of U22 strikers, including one from San Luis, Mike Joyner, that they were unable to, finalize because San Luis just wasn't doing it. And so, they're trying to make things happen. But just like the medical situation that Brian told us, you can't just change it out of the blue. And I'm not saying that we can do it at the end of the season and maybe it's going to be a whole new program. Just like that, I think that not till next season are you going to have the generational change that you have been ignoring, because you could have been bringing in pieces little by little, but now you're going to have to do a complete teardown because you have been so inactive when it comes to this summer windows and when it comes to windows in general, and bringing in players outside of the academy and Tacoma Defiance. And look, now you have to do that. So, Albert Rusnack's a guy that restruct. If you want to open up the DP spot, extend him out, bring him out of the TAM, there's possibilities that you maybe move away from Jordan next season and, you bring somebody else. I mean, there's just going to have to be a whole new remodel of this roster for you to get back into being an elite team or at least a protagonist in this league.
Yeah, the world's catching up to Seattle, and it's looking pretty ugly right now. Since you mentioned other matches, Colorado knocks off LAFC last night 1-0. Dallas in a 7-goal thriller at Rio Tinto, 4-3 over RSL. LAG 1-0 in Cali Classico over San Jose. Portland over San Diego FC, 3-1. And then the late game, Houston continues this clean sheet mania with another clean sheet. I think that's 5 in a row now. And they knock off Vancouver at BC Place 1-0. What else stuck with you from yesterday?
I warned y'all about Houston. Houston, they made the right moves. They have a real dog in Olsen. You saw him just, we got that at the end because they didn't get the call. It was, just the right attitude, the right players. Franco Negri with a bombazo of a goal. Love what Guilherme can provide you. Bogut's has been good. I mean, that team has been quality, and they get a deserving win over Vancouver. That was a real matchup. That was a good parameter of where they are right now. I think Portland is a team that has found some will and has found some order in their locker room. You're starting to see Belde growing more. He's been, the one light of this team for a very long time in terms of just consistent production, but he looks good. Da Costa seems to be a guy that once again is feeling himself. Portland looks really good. New management, new attitude. I know that San Diego has been kind of shaky, but that's still a good win for Portland. San Jose is another team that's on a free fall. You have Bruce Arena, trying to stay calm in press conferences. And look, this is a team that we, just like the Sounders, funny enough, ironically enough, there was a point in the season when you were like, oh, they have all, the Werner's coming and when will Niko Shakiris be the guy and all of these things. And now it's kind of falling all apart. But that loss against the Galaxy with a team that had one less player was tough to watch. That's another team that I don't know what they're going to need to do in order to kind of find that groove again. And LAFC, man, look, Colorado, I love Marc Dos Santos. I think that he is a guy that can definitely put it together, but he is under fire right now. And I don't think he's making his life any easier by making certain changes. I still think that there's a lot of some of those big star players that are not carrying their weight, and that ultimately is going to cost you. But yeah, man, some interesting matchups over there for sure.
And let's take a peek at what's going to be happening this weekend. And early on, LAG, get this, they got an early game. LAG moves all the way over to Montreal to take on CF Montreal. They're a dog at a plus 200. Montreal favored at a plus 116 at Stade Saputo. We mentioned Seattle.
Really?
Yeah. Massive dog, Seattle. We mentioned them. You think they should be plus 400. They're only a plus 301. Messi and friends are going to be without Ian Frey or Yannick Bright at present. Toronto's going to be without Walker Zimmerman at New Stadium, and Messi and friends are favored at a minus 263, as they should. RSL travels east to take on the purple team at a plus 234. Orlando City a minus 111. Nashville's got Crew. Houston's in St. Louis. Dallas gets to go to Vancouver. Vancouver's a minus 217. San Diego FC favored slightly, minus 104. Colorado's big on the plus side at plus 234. LAFC hosting Portland. San Jose's hosting Minnesota. Where do you want to go?
Ooh-wee. That's some interesting ones. I'll tell you without you telling me anything, that LA Galaxy one I'm kind of interested in, and I know that what you've seen from him is not a lot, but Montreal, regardless of getting a little bit of push and finding themselves in some good games, Alexi Sanchez obviously part of that team now, and that was a good game. I think they're good in transition, but I don't know, that one caught my eye. What's the LA Galaxy underdog?
Plus 200 at CF Montreal.
Yeah, I don't know why, and maybe I'm gonna be off on this one, but that one is my gut pick of the week. On that one, I like that. Possibly again more as a gut one. What about the RSL Orlando?
RSL is a plus 234. Purple team is a minus 111. Draw is a plus 309.
I like that draw, and I know that those are high numbers, but Orlando, you saw it against Chicago. I mean, they're a team that can get disbalanced very quickly. They have a difficult time in transition. I think that those are things that RSL does pretty well. If anything, RSL has been leaking a lot of goals, but they could also give it back to you. It's going to be a whole new world without Gazzo for this RSL team. But I do think that they have some game makers, and I think that as Luna continues to get along and find his form, yeah, man. I mean that game against Dallas was kind of back and forth. You give it to me, I give it to you. Yeah, I like that draw. Let me in on that draw. I'm going kind of bizarre today, but I'm taking that. I'm taking that for sure. I'm not touching the Cincinnati Seattle game as much as it is there. How about we try that LAFC Portland game and give me the goal compos for that one as well.
Okay, LAFC is a minus 156. Draw is a plus 328. Portland is a plus 340. So everyone is viewing this one right now as a get-right game for LAFC after what happened last night. 2.5 is a minus 244. 3.5 is a plus 104. So it flips at plus 3.5.
I don't know. No, I don't like it. I'm staying away from it. I'm staying away from that one for sure. No way I'm taking that at all. But I mean, look, that's going to be an interesting matchup. There's two teams that can be hard to decipher. I mentioned Portland kind of on an uphill, but I don't see LAFC just kind of laying down for this one. They've been very good defensively as well, despite of the results and how people won. And they've called Mark DeSantis a liar because he said that he was going to be an offensive type of coach. And look, he kind of figured out that you could be organized and come up with some really good results. So yeah, that's a tough one. That might be one that I think LAFC is going to win, but I don't see anything worth my time there in the juice boxes. But let's go with the last one. Let's go with the Vancouver Dallas. Let me get that one. That's another one that was calling my name.
Okay, Vancouver and Dallas. Vancouver a minus 217. Draws a plus 361. FC Dallas a plus 479.
Oh man, you're killing me. With these. Well, what about the goal compost on that one?
That's where I was dialing it up. So let's take a peek here and see what we got. 2.5 is a minus 208. They're thinking goals here. 3.5 is a plus 120. So that's where it flips pretty much.
Well, 3.5. I'll
Okay.
take the 3.5. I'll go nice and simple on that one. I think it'll turn there. That's going to be a good game, and I do expect that one, especially Vancouver coming after this game where they have to be extremely frustrated. And Jasper Sorensen is a guy that whenever he sees a team that's getting too comfortable, too steady, he knows exactly what knobs to move around, what buttons to push. And so I think that there's going to be a lot of goals in this particular game against Dallas. That's going to be a fun one. I like that. That 6:30 game is a good one.
Okay, so here's one that I just dialed up just because. And it's the goal compost for St. Louis City and Houston. Considering the run that Houston has been on defensively, they're on the road at St. Louis City. Over under 1.5 is a plus 280.
Ooh.
If you went 1-0 Houston at a plus 280, could you live with that?
I can live with that. Actually, I like that a lot too. That's a good one.
So
I like
under
that.
one,
As a matter of fact,
under 1.5, Houston and St. Louis City, under 1.5 plus 280.
I'll take it. I like that. I'll give that 1-0. That 1-0 on Houston. Absolutely. That's actually a real good one. I'm writing that one for sure. We're gonna get that as a lock of the week right there. I like that.
Wow. Broke out the lock of the week on that one. Wow.
I like that.
Wow. Have to keep an eye on that. All right. So hit me. What's going on, Pulso Sports, and what do we need to follow and watch and be a part of and listen to with you over the next little bit?
Yeah, so we have a really good conversation. It's not a conversation now that I think about it because he actually ended up being on the Zoom. But if you want to hear what Nino Torres had to say yesterday about the win, a goal that he got here in Seattle, kind of the difficulty that he's had in Austin, kind of with a new system and putting it all together, as well as a very interesting conversation about Diego Forlan taking over in Uruguay. Him and Diego Forlan had a relationship. He called him the coach that's helped him the most throughout his career, and so because obviously in Peñarol, and so it's a really cool conversation. But it's not a conversation; it's more of like a scrum with everyone for the Zoom of everyone else that was there. But we had some particular questions here in Seattle that we wanted to ask him specifically about that. So that was pretty cool. You can find that at Pulso Sports. We're going to have obviously everything that we got after the game. Stu Hawkins talked. Brian Smetzer talked. He tried to lie to me about Jackson Reagan. I don't know if you saw that. I asked him why you sent them back out there. I was like, why did you send him back there? Oh, he's fine. So I was like, there's no injury because he came off, and he's like, well, he hyperextended his knee, it was sore. And I was like, okay. And then later, I wasn't part of this scrum, but apparently Danny Musovsky was like, yeah, there's going to be an MRI on Jackson Reagan. I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out where that goes. So if you want to check that out, that's going to be on Pulso Sports. Then, of course, tomorrow, Friday, we're going to be doing What We Learned This Week with Jeremiah Oshan. Go ahead and check that out. It's under our heart, and it's under our podcast network.
What he said, all the things. As always, my friend, it's great to see you on your Thursdays. Enjoy that second cup of coffee. I know that it's kind of long in the tooth this season, just like it is over here, but we love seeing you on Thursdays, and we love you very much, and we'll catch up with you again next week.
Appreciate y'all.
There he goes. There. I wanted to make sure that I got the sipping of the coffee cup before he got out of here. So 8:09 over in the Pacific time zone, Pacific Standard Time, with our friend Niko Moreno joining us for the pretty much like the final half hour-ish of what's going on here on our Thursdays. All right, let's get into the gossip, rumor, and innuendo, since we've already done the what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it, and brought to us by our friends at Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. So the rumor mill, Joao Cancelo has joined Barca for the third time on a free transfer. The Maracanã is going to host the Women's World Cup final. No real surprise there. Barca have ended their chase of Julian Alvarez. They're now seeking an alternative. And for the U.S. in their U20 Women's World Cup roster, It is Jeff Kassouf. This was yesterday afternoon. And they're going to try and win their first U20 Women's World Cup since 2012 next month without a lot of their biggest age-eligible stars. Vicky Jepsen called their absence upsetting, but she did express faith in the players on the roster. She named her 21-player roster for next month's tournament in Poland. Absentees: Claire Hutton, Lily Johannes, Kimi Ascanio, Alex Pfeiffer, Jordan Bugg. They are not a part of the discussion. Hutton, Ascanio, and Bugg all play in the NWSL. Think of the regular season. Johannes plays for Lyon. U20 Women's World Cup is not a part of official FIFA windows during which clubs are required to release players. Jepsen, in the press conference, quote, "Of course, we'd love Lily to come and play in this squad as well as Claire, as well as Jordan, but ultimately the main focus now is the players that are released, players that are coming, because I think that we have enough quality within this squad." When asked if there was any tension between the Federation and the NWSL clubs over the release of players, Jepsen took the high road, acknowledged on a certain level omitting a player because of their clubs was difficult. Quote, "We've had a lot of clubs that have released, which is fantastic with the relationship. We want to try and avoid players being stuck in the middle. What's sad sometimes is when a player is desperate to represent their country, they're not being released. That's something we can't control. Definitely a good relationship across the NWSL with the clubs, that's for sure, but it's hard. We can't force a club to release a player. We have to respect that," end quote. Bay FC midfielder Kennedy Fuller, one of 8 NWSL players on the U20 roster, and the standout among the group heading to Poland, according to Kassouf, worn the captain's armband several times for the U20s. Hutton and Pfeiffer also play for Bay, not a part of Jepsen's roster despite being eligible. 8 of the 21 are professional. The other 13 play in college. Senior women's national team head coach Emma Hayes told ESPN earlier in the month, the U20 World Cup is a crucial part of player development to get players ready for senior World Cups, and she believes the U.S. is lagging at the youth level. Italy, September 9, and then it is Japan and New Zealand after that. U.S. has not won a U20 World Cup since 2012. No San Diego Wave players on the U20 roster. Ascanio, who has been compared to Tobin Heath, is a glaring absence. So is forward Melanie Barcenas. 4 goals so far for the season for the Wave. Jepsen said that for those players left out, it's important to keep growing with their clubs. And so obviously we'll keep an eye on that. Seattle Reign head coach Laura Harvey, Bugg's club coach, said last week she's always had the same ethos about the value of youth World Cups, but doesn't believe that players need experience in them multiple times. And so the roster for the U20s, Caroline Burkle at Stanford, Evan Osteen, Seattle Reign, Keely Titmus from Penn State. Defenders, 7. Avon Alvarez from North Carolina, Ella Bard from Louisville, Lizzie Boama from Stanford, Pearl Cecil from Virginia, Emma Johnson, Penn State, Hope Munson, UNC, Katie Scott with Kansas City Current. Midfield, 6. Kennedy Fuller from Bay, Lily Joseph, Notre Dame, Ainsley McCammon from Seattle Reign, Elon Wen from Stanford, Yanya Toure, Florida State, Linda Olmark from the Houston Dash. 5 forwards, Emery Adamas from the Reign, Alex Buck from the University of Washington, Michaela Johnson, Chicago Stars, Audrey McKean, Racing Louisville, Celie Strawn, UNC. So that is the rundown with what it's going to look like in the U20s next month with the United States. So transfer news and rumors and things to keep an eye on. Manchester United considering a move for Racing Santander left back Jorge Salinas. Competition from Atletico de Madrid, according to Team Talk. He has impressed the 19-year-old since helping Racing secure promotion to La Liga and had a big role in Spain's recent Euro U19 championships. United have extensively scouted Salinas, weighing up whether to trigger the €16 million release clause, one of several left-back targets alongside Newcastle's Lewis Hall and Leipzig's David Raum. Liverpool set to replace Curtis Jones, who's set to join Inter Milan for £30 million with Adam Wharton, according to the Daily Mirror. There's more on this in a bit. Wharton has caught the eye since his £18 million move from Blackburn in February of 24, linked with a bunch of clubs, including United, Arsenal, and Real Madrid. Did not make the final World Cup squad, reported to be available for around £78 million, 3 years left on his deal. City have identified Roma midfielder Manu Kone as a potential target, according to the 4-letter paper. Emerged as an option as Enzo Maresca looks to rebuild the midfield following the departures of Rodri and Tiani Reinders. Previously a target for United and Arsenal, which and their interest is cooled, which could give Manchester City an opening. Roma understood to value the transfer of Kone, who is under contract through June 2029 at around €50 million. Villa interested in Tosin Adarabioyo from Chelsea as a potential replacement for Ezri Konsa. According to Sky, Villa considering several options after accepting Arsenal's £51 million bid offer to sign Konsa. Chelsea are now prepared to listen to offers for Adarabioyo, who's also attracted interest from Marseille, Benfica, and Sevilla. Marseille reported to have made initial contact with Chelsea following his omission from Xabi Alonso's squad for the friendly against Real Sociedad. Crystal Palace have rejected an opening offer from Galatasaray to land winger Ismail Sarr, according to Fabrizio Romano. Palace determined to keep him. Also, it is the done deals that we were talking about. Joao Cancelo from Al Hilal. Parma's Alessandro Cercati has become the latest Australia star to earn a move. Portuguese Giants Benfica announced his signing on a 5-year deal for a reported €20 million fee. Mentioned Curtis Jones, mentioned Ezri Konsa, and mentioned Julian Alvarez. Fresh round of talk set to take place between Manchester City and Lille over the €100 million transfer of an 18-year-old midfielder Ayub Buwadi. It's from Fabrizio Romano. 4-letter paper, Barcelona keeping a close eye on Harry Kane and his contract situation, is expected to sign a new deal with the Bundesliga champs. Barca prepared to swoop in if it doesn't happen. Mirror, Arsenal's Gabriel Jesus is not interested in moving to Napoli this summer, despite links reporting him to. He was on Napoli striker shortlist, along the likes of Nico Jackson and Joshua Zirkzee. Sky Sports News, Burnley has submitted an opening offer for Feyenoord defender Anel Ahmedhodzic. Dutch club willing to sanction the exit this summer, but not for anything less than £6 million. Mundo Deportivo, Ipswich and Hull stepped up their interest in Girona midfielder Azzedine Unahi, alongside Ajax and Al Ittihad. Sky Sports News, Torino have reached a verbal agreement with Fiorentina to sign Nicolo Fortini ahead of the Premier League. New boys Hull City. Yusuf Fofana, Villa, and Palace have joined the race to sign the AC Milan midfielder. Talks ongoing with both Premier League clubs. It's from Nicola Shira. He also has Atalanta's Giorgio Scalvini on Newcastle's centre-back shortlist, although it remains to be seen if the Magpies will try and bolster that position this summer. And Dodo at Fiorentina is one step away from joining Nottingham Forest in a €10 million deal. Team talk, Sunderland willing to shatter their transfer record by submitting a £51 million offer for sporting winger Jenny Katamo. Also, Everton tracking the development of Como winger Asani Diao, who could be available for around €60 million this month. Alex Crook at Talk Sport. Southampton keeper Gavin Bazunu attracting interest from Celtic and Dinamo Zagreb. Fabrizio Romano, free agent Bamba Dieng set to undergo medical at Lazio this week ahead of an expected transfer. Foot Mercato, Hamburg closing in on the signing of Nice and Nigeria forward Terem Mafi after an agreement was struck between the two clubs. And Matteo Moretto, Olympiacos have lodged a €12 million offer for Sevilla winger Ruben Vargas, who spent last season on loan at Augsburg. So that's the gossip, rumor, and innuendo portion. Let's check and see what's going on in the minds of Ben Jacobs and Tom Bogert and David Ornstein and anybody else that we might have forgotten. Joao Cancelo is holding up the jersey with his name on the back. 3-year contract after the contract with Al Hilal was mutually terminated. Leeds and Nottingham Forest joined the race for Liam Delap. Chelsea sources say a £50 million asking price. Clubs believe that 40 is possible. That's with him and with Alex Crook from Talk Sport. Then Lille and Zion Fleming talks are ongoing. Keep an eye there. It is Sheffield Wednesday who signed Kieran Morrison on a season-long loan from Liverpool. Manchester City, several midfield options now. Expected to sign 2 between now and the end of the window, whether it's Enzo Fernandez, Ayub Buwadi, Adam Wharton, Alexis, Manu Kone, and Alex Scott. Bournemouth already turned down £64 million bid from Chelsea and insisted he's not for sale. Manchester City, once again, Adam Wharton. Rodri joined Barca, so they're keeping an eye on that. Leipzig have reunited their interest in Julian Hall. Atletico de Madrid have also made an approach. Newcastle and Hull also tracking 9+4 and 19 starts for Michael Bradley this season. Second youngest player to make his MLS debut, 15 years and 190. Youngest to score an MLS hat trick. Jaden Bogle, pen hovering over contract, smiling into the camera, agreed on a new deal with Leeds, keeping him there until the summer of 2030. 10% sell-on is part of the deal that Liverpool has accepted on Curtis Jones. €35 million written offer, 10% sell-on fee. Milan confirmed Diego Moreira, joining from Strasbourg, 50 plus 21. Add-ons largely achievable. It's a record sale for Strasbourg. Strasbourg also get a sell-on minimum guaranteed payout on any future sale. €50 million plus 16 in traditional bonuses, guaranteed sell-on minimum payout of 5. So that's where Ben Jacobs has been typing this morning. Tommy Scoops, we'll see if there's anything going on domestically that we need to know about. And let's go all the way to the top. We mentioned Mark McKenzie. Xavier Gozo, we mentioned that one yesterday. Colin Gusky, we did not mention this one. Colin Gusky looking to have a deal finalized with RSL on loan from Orlando City. 16 first-team appearances in his career so far. Potential for more minutes at RSL. Keep an eye on that one. Colin Gusky and RSL. Very, very intriguing there to see what would happen with all of that. So let's see if there's anything else domestically with our internationally with David Ornstein, since we have the other part locked in. Arsenal closing on the deal to sign Ezri Konsa from Aston Villa. Let's see. Agreement was reached at $51 million plus add-ons. Spurs working on a double deal to sign Savinho and Omar Marmoush from Manchester City. They want to land them both. Not done, but talks with Manchester City are advancing. Manchester City inquired about Adam Wharton. We're told he's not available this summer among the candidates on the recruitment list, but Crystal Palace have no intention of selling before the deadline. Newcastle also completed the agreement on their new £190 million training complex. They purchased the Woolsington Hall estate to build an elite first team and academy facilities, subject to the planning permission, and Newcastle would move in for the 29-30 year. And we mentioned the conversation about Alan Elias with the Palmeiras in Manchester City, keeping an eye on that one in the €100 million category. All right, so once again, reminders. 6 o'clock pregame show inside Sanford Stadium, and it's going to be James Madison and UGA. It's great to catch up with Coach Walters this morning. You'll hear a little bit of that interview. You'll hear a little bit of our Marion Crowder interview, and you'll hear a little bit of the Kadani McAlpine interview. Maddie and I will be there 6 o'clock to about 6:50. Starting lineups, go over last year, go over the expectations this year. Fun Belt versus SEC. Two friends in the business that know what this kind of an event can mean. North of 30,000. Marion Crowder told us yesterday, north of 30,000 tickets distributed so far. Keep going. So Maddie and I will be there. We'll have your full coverage, and we will have that for you tomorrow as a part of Friday. But a big night. Soccer in Sanford, 6 to 6:50 will be us. We hand it off to Glenn Davis, Joe Lloyden, and Marion Crowder for 7 o'clock SEC Network. If you're not there, watch. See the night unfold in Athens. And apparently they're going to be fireworks after, so post-game should be interesting. But we'll have that for you tomorrow. Once again, thanks to everybody at James Madison for making that interview go down on a match day. I know how some coaches on match days want to be locked in on task at hand. But once again, thanks to Coach Walters for hopping on with us. And Nino and Niko, as always, thanks for hopping on with them. Thank you, Alex and Abby and the OG and Lokeville. And who else have I missed this morning? I'm trying to see if there's anybody that I might have missed. David and Abby. So David, Abby, OG, Alex discussing, throwing hands with your brother, and you kind of watching that happen, and Abby as well. So thanks to all of y'all, and thanks for dropping by as you always do. Back at it again, 9:05 in the morning, and we'll get you set for the weekend. We've got all your juice boxes laid out. We'll look at the cruise. We'll look at who's going to join us, who's going to crash the party, and we're going to talk about what happens tonight in Athens, tomorrow morning on the morning show on SDH AM. So since it is the end of the show, that means one thing. It means I get to do this. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. Back at it again less than 22 hours. We break down soccer in Sanford and get you ready for the weekend. Mucha Platiel means I get to do this.